Thank you, Madam Chair, and appreciate the panelists today. And Mr. Wilshusen, I wanted to just, your role at the GAO has to do with accountability, especially in the sort of the information technology area. Is that
That's correct, on information security, cybersecurity issues.
So I have, because you're probably looking at this over a wide range of agencies and government entities, I basically have 3 questions that I'd like to kind of lay out for you, and you'll kind of get the pattern of where I'm going with these questions. So you might want to just take notes just so you, I apologize for overwhelming you with 3 questions at the same time, but basically I just wanted you to elaborate on the testimony you've already given, and just so I have a clear understanding. But the first question is, what potential enforcement and accountability options could be applied against an agency that is non-compliant with OMB and NIST information security standards and guidelines? That's kind of the one question, you know, what options are available? And then secondly, what federal agency or White House office might have the authority to enforce compliance with OMB and NIST standards and guidelines? So who has the authority to implement that? And then finally, and thirdly, are you aware of any cases when action was taken against any agency for failing to comply with OMB and NIST information security standards and guidelines?
Okay, first I would answer those questions in order. In terms of enforcing compliance or holding agencies or individuals accountable for implementing information security, it starts first at the agency, where the head of the agency under FISMA, the Federal Information Security Modernization Act of 2014, requires the head of the agency and assigns overall responsibility to the head of each agency to ensure that that agency implements appropriate safeguards to protect against the unauthorized use, disclosure, modification of information within that agency. And that head of the agency is also responsible for enforcing and ensuring that individuals and employees within that organization are held accountable and comply with that policy and with those procedures. Some of that responsibility has been delegated to the Chief Information Officer, and in some respects at some agencies it may also be at the Chief Information Security Officer will have some responsibilities to help program managers and assist them in complying with the procedures. At the government level, it's the Director of Office of Management and Budget under FISMA who has responsibility for assuring and enforcing the compliance of information security under the law, under FISMA. So through the Office of Management and Budget, they have employed several different mechanisms to help provide accountability and, if you will, assistance to federal agencies. One of these is through the budget process, in which it can recommend changes to budgeted amounts to organizations and the agencies to help ensure that information security policies are being implemented. It's also through cyber stat meetings, which the office has established, in which it will meet with officials from individual agencies to talk about weaknesses or issues of concern related to information security at that agency with those officials from that agency. And it's intended to not only to hold those officials accountable to some extent, but also to assist them in implementing the appropriate security controls. And it also provides a reporting mechanism through the FISMA annual reporting mechanism, in which OMB reports on agencies' progress in implementing information security controls as determined by the metrics that OMB has determined. So those are, at least in terms of, has that enforcement? Well, first of all, it's within, each agency has a responsibility, as does OMB. And so they have responsibilities to perform those functions. In terms of actual actions taken, well, I know that OMB does have these cyber stat reviews. It holds them annually with several organizations. But in terms of holding someone accountable, in terms of like firing someone, if that's what you're referring to, or actually reducing the budget of an organization. I don't know if OMB has done that. I know over the last several years, the actual budgets for information security have been increasing rather than decreasing.